and wait to have some people join the stream here. So let's give it a minute or two here. Welcome, everyone. Just giving it a couple of minutes, then we'll get started. Cool. Okay, let's get going here. So, thanks for joining us live today. I'm Phil Doherty. I'm a senior product manager at DigitalOcean. I'm here today to share a few Kubernetes tips that'll help you to get your first clusters up and running. And we're doing this in preparation for an upcoming webinar that's actually happening next week on Wednesday. So I'll be giving a more in-depth talk about all of this, and you can go ahead and register for that by clicking on the link in the description. And in the meantime, DigitalOcean also has a really awesome playlist of interesting Kubernetes videos, so make sure to check that out, which is also linked down in the description. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share 3 helpful tips as kind of a prep for the webinar next week around Kubernetes. So when you're first kind of planning to get your first Kubernetes cluster up and running, you should consider the type of workloads you plan to run. And you're going to want to choose the instance type or types that make up your node pools in your cluster carefully. And with DO, with our DigitalOcean Kubernetes offering, you can select from standard, memory optimized, CPU optimized, or general purpose droplet types that are powering your cluster. And choosing the right type will allow your applications to take the best advantage of the available resources in the cluster. So also, before getting started with Kubernetes, you're going to need to basically pick a container registry that you plan to use. So a container registry is where you're going to have your container images stored. So once you build them, you need to push them somewhere so that you can run them on your cluster. So there's a bunch of different options out there that you can choose from, third-party options. But if you do plan to use DigitalOcean Kubernetes, you might want to consider using our DigitalOcean Kubernetes registry, which is currently in an early access. And that's great because it's low cost and it'll be closer to your clusters. So your pools, when you're doing deployments of your application, will be much faster. So we definitely recommend checking out DigitalOcean Container Registry. And then also, it's important to consider when you're setting up your cluster to make sure that it's always up to date. So if you do choose to use DigitalOcean Kubernetes, we recommend that you enable automatic upgrades. And you can do that right through the settings in your cluster settings. So you're going to go ahead and enable automatic upgrades and choose a maintenance window that's convenient for you. So maintenance windows can be any day of the week that you choose and a certain time of day. And there's really a 3-hour window where the upgrade will happen. So you might want to schedule that around when you're available in case of any problem, for example. But you can also just set it to any time of day, any day of the week. Then we'll make sure to go ahead and keep those clusters up to date. So with DigitalOcean Kubernetes, we want to make it really simple for you to be able to set up and manage your Kubernetes clusters and their lifecycle. So those are a few key points that I'm going to dive further into in the webinar next week. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions now. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Just give it a couple more minutes. Any questions that you have, feel free to pepper me with them. Looking forward to answering. The schedule for next week for the webinar. So I believe that is happening on Wednesday. It's going to be from 12:40 or around 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for the question, Raul. Any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to register for the upcoming talk. Like I mentioned, it's next Wednesday. And DigitalOcean also has an awesome playlist with other Kubernetes videos that you can find on YouTube. Links to both of those things are available in the description down below. So please make sure to check those out. And I hope to see you next week at the webinar. Thanks.